Hi, I'm Kat Murphy of Artful Efforts, and today I am interviewing Cheyenne Adams, a young author, and we're talking about her first book, Unwritten Black Girl Rules. Here it is. Let's go. Thank you so much for joining me, Cheyenne.
Thank you for
Um,
me.
yeah, if you could just tell us a little bit about your background and just a brief bio.
Okay, well, my name is Cheyenne Adams. I am 19 years old, a college sophomore at Manhattanville College, majoring in creative writing, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I been writing for God knows how long. That's something I really enjoy doing. You know, um, that's what really I can't really think of anything else. I like to read. I like doing word search. I'm an introvert. Like by myself. Enjoy my own company. Um, yeah, that's really all I can think of at the moment.
That's good. Then you're not struggling too hard right now.
No, I don't want to be So
Yeah. Awesome. Well, today we're mainly going to be talking about your book, Unwritten Black Girl Rules.
mhm.
So I wanted to start by just asking what inspired you to write it. I'm sure some personal experiences and things, but
Well, I feel like Black girls inspired me. Growing up where I'm from, I have four sisters. So, we're all like, I'm used to being around girls all the time. So, I feel like I didn't realize how much like we all go through the same things until I just sat down and just like listened. You know what I mean? Social media like is now a big thing because quarantine and all that happened. So I kind of just slowed down and just listened to like the audience, listen to the public, and I was like, wow, like we're all going through the same things. We all have the same issues. So I'm saying like, I think someone needs to speak about it, and I felt that person needed to be me, so that other races and other people may understand like our struggles and what we ask of, how to be respected and things like that. That's just something I thought of doing.
I love what you said too about listening because I think as artists we can sometimes be like, I want to share my voice and my thoughts all the time, but unless we kind of sit and listen and take things in, what do we really have to share
Right.
that's of value?
So that's something I realized I need to do because I always like will go off of my opinion and what I think. But I realized you want to be able to relate to your audience. You want your audience to understand and be like, okay, well, at least it's not so biased and it's not just from one point of view, it's from everyone's point of view. You know what I mean? So that's something that I like really felt was really important to make, like to do during making this book. So
And you kind of already bled into my next question, which was basically about the audience. When I was reading it, I noticed that there was kind of, at least from my perspective, so I'm hoping you can weigh in or correct me, but it seems like there's kind of two audiences. One is for other Black girls, young Black women who can get solidarity with the book, and then also for non-Black folks to kind of learn how to relate and not stereotype Black women and girls so much.
I think that like a lot of races like unintentionally like are really ignorant when it comes to like Black women. So I feel like with this book, even though I'm pretty sure there's a million more that I may not even know about, I feel like when you read my book, you have a better understanding of how we think, like us Black girls, how we think and how we move and how we react to certain situations and stuff like that. So I think that I want you to just be able to read it and be like, okay, now I know what not to do, when I approach Black girls or what to do. You know what I mean? I also feel like I wrote this book for my I would say middle school. Middle school coming into high school. Your body's changing. It's puberty, and you're still trying to find yourself. And you're still trying to rediscover yourself because it's not the same way how it was a couple of years ago. You know what I mean? So I think that's just a way of like kind of helping you get reassurance. You know what I mean? Like, okay, there's nothing wrong with the way you look, the way you sound, the way you speak, the way you dress.
How did you decide which rules to include? Were there any rules that didn't make the final version of the book?
Well, like I said before, I was listening to the public. You know what I mean? Like these, like at first, I made this like some articles. You know what I mean? I didn't really decide to make it into a book, and I noticed like, let me see what everybody else has to say. I looked up like YouTube videos of like Black girls and see like what the struggles are and see if I can relate to them, or maybe there was some that I didn't know happened. You know what I mean? But I was like, let me just look it up. And I saw some and I was like, wow, like I never knew this because I never had to go through these things. So I'm going to add this. But one thing I say I didn't put in there, like unintentionally, was the, never knock the crown down off another Black girl, uplift each other, be uplifting, encouraging and stuff like that. That's the only one I didn't add that I didn't like mean not to add. I just realized it after the book was done. So that could have been something I put in there as well.
I think the energy of that is in there, especially with all the pictures and, showing the variation of folks in the book. So I definitely felt that energy, even though you didn't include it with words.
Right. That's why I wanted to do like include all shades because Black people are not just one shade. You know what I mean? We come in all different colors.
Right. And what were some of the rules that came in after you did some of that research and some of that listening? Like, what were some of the rules that came from not your experience, but that you were like, that's really important, I want to add that? And what helped you realize that that was something critical to be added to the book?
I think like I'm seeing it a lot now, more than usual. Is the like dating outside of your race one? You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with having preferences. You like what you like, that's fine. But to sit there and like bash Black girls and be like, oh, they're monkeys and they're ghetto and they're ugly, that was just, it kind of annoys me, even though I'm not going through it. Like, I feel for us because like, I'm a Black girl too. So it's like, you can like what you like, but you don't have to like drag all of us through the mud just to be able to say, this is my preference. That's something I really feel like was needed. That one and like the music one. You know what I mean? Like all of us, we listen to hip hop and we listen to this kind of genre of music, which is not true. You know what I mean? I know a lot of girls who listen to like many different genres, country and rock and, all these kind of things. So I felt like that was needed to be added in as well.
A personal opinion on the preference thing. I feel like a lot of time, this is just again personal, but I feel like whenever I hear people say that they have a preference in that way, I'm like, you need more friends.
Right.
So those are the music one and the dating one. You said didn't really come from your personal experience.
No.
So when it comes to the other questions that did come from your personal experience, do you want to share how you kind of like decided which part of your personal experience to share versus omit? I know there was like a lot about the hair and like that's a really symbolic.
I feel like the hair was like a really important one because I go through that a lot. I'm in a predominantly white school, so they're like, oh my God, your hair, can I touch it? And it's like, no, you can just admire it from afar without having to touch it. I don't know why, like that is. That's like the main one I've noticed is like a common ground amongst all of us. I'm like completely common. I'm like, wow, we all go through the same things. Like it's kind of scary. You get what I mean? So I don't know, like why they have to disrespect our hair boundaries. You can just ask us about it without having to touch it. You get what I mean?
Like, why is that? I mean, I know part of it is just like not respecting agency of women and especially like women of color. Jumping off the personal experience thing, and you kind of mentioned this earlier. So you said that it was like when you started listening to other people is when you were like, I need to write this. So that was one of my questions coming up. And if you want to elaborate at all, basically, what was like the moment that you were like, I need to write this book? This is important.
It was more of over time because I started like writing the articles last year in August, and I didn't decide to make it into a book until January. So I just said, I was kind of contemplating it because I was like, at first, I was like, I think it would be a stupid idea. Who's going to really read a book about like unwritten Black girl rules? But then I said, I started to think about it and say, it may not be so bad. Like, you might be helping someone out by writing it. You never know who's out there that might need a book like this, help them boost their confidence. So I said, you know what? Maybe it wouldn't hurt to write it. Make sure I get all my stuff together, edit some stuff, scrap some stuff out. Some of these have to make the cut. So that's like kind of what I was doing.
So before I kind of start asking you about some of your fiction writing, I like the format of, naming you don't only name a stereotype and say don't do this, you often will give kind of a prescriptive, like, do this instead, like maybe just leave off the for a Black girl when you are complimenting someone, because then it's no longer a compliment. Because I think oftentimes, you know, folks will get a lot of don't, and then they're like, but what do I do then? You know, like if we don't give them something to do. So I'm just curious if there was one kind of prescriptive piece of advice you could give folks, what would it be?
You know, like living in the times we're living in now, you know, as a Black person, it's kind of hard. You know, we live with targets on our back every single day. You know, we're labeled to these thugs and these delinquents and, you know, stuff like that. But it's even harder on Black women. You know, now hearing that Breonna Taylor's murderers were acquitted, which I think is so crazy. Like, it just makes my head hurt. You know what I mean? It's just, we're not even going to talk about that. But I would say to stop labeling us Black girls as strong. You know, we're not, in society, we're not allowed to be like vulnerable. We're not allowed to express our emotions. We're always labeled as the strong one, the strong woman. So I would say, as a prescription, allow us to explosion, you know, allow us to be vulnerable, allow us to be open. You know, that's something I really, really think needs to happen.
Totally.
Because you can't be strong 24/7. It's literally impossible.
I mean, especially right now, it's like there's every day I feel like it's like we're bombarded with just so much awful stuff. How can anyone just be strong right now? That's a ridiculous expectation.
All the time. Like, it was very disappointing because we went so hard for her, and we called up the district attorney's offices, and we was protesting and all these other things, and here's what the outcome. You know what I mean? For some reason, I thought the district attorney would be able to comply with us and understand us because he's a Black man. But it's like, wow. But one of the cops ended up getting arrested and charged for shooting into the neighbor's house. They tried to find every little excuse, every reason, and it's just, enough is enough, honestly.
Clearly the system's not working.
At all.
Yeah.
At all.
I'm curious, I didn't write this down, so like don't feel obligated to answer it, but I'm curious, writing from your own experience and then writing from other people's experiences as well, and your friends and YouTubers and everything. I know that this book is meant to help other folks, but I'm curious if just the act of writing it has helped you solidify anything for yourself, or like gain confidence or grow in any specific way, just like if the working on the book itself has affected you in any way.
I think it has helped me grow like confidence towards my writing, because like I'm my own biggest critic. You know, I'm a very big criticizer when it comes to my work. So being able to see like these people that's read my books and like have spoken to me and said like, no, I love it. It was amazing. It was like a wonderful book. Please keep writing. Like, please drop another book soon. You know, hearing those like little words of encouragement kind of just made me feel like, wow, like I'm going so hard on myself for nothing. You know, I'm a wonderful writer. You know, I have to believe in it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, like this is really helping me. People don't understand like little words like that. You know, hearing little words like that as a writer can really like make your day. I don't know. I can't really get that one together. You have to give me a minute with that one. But yeah, as far as like confidence with my writing, that's like really helped me like boost it. Like, my confidence for my writing went from the floor to like through the roof, like all the way up, like in the sky.
Awesome. I think it's like especially for writers, because you're working for especially for a book. Like I'm working on my first novel right now, and I've been working on it for over a year now. And it's so like you're with yourself and you're in your stuff all the time. So I love that my dog, sorry, I'm gonna pause. So anyways, especially for writers, but artists in general, it's like we can get so in our head when we're working on something on our own and so caught up in it that it's like it's important to remember to put your work out there, because you don't know how people are going to respond, and you've gotten a great response, and it's like now you're more inspired to keep going. And how could you have known that people would like your work if you never put it out?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I love that. Okay, awesome. So I know you're in school for creative writing. So I'm curious about your fiction work and if it's going to be informed by, I mean, I'm sure your personal experience, of course, is going to inform it. So, of course, it's going to come from a Black girl's perspective. But I'm curious if your themes and stuff in your fiction are going to be kind of along the lines of this first book, or just curious about what your fiction writing is going to be all about.
Well, I'm not doing like creative writing right now. I'm trying to like knock out the important courses, like the second language and history and stuff like that. But when I was there last year, we started doing like simple, creative writing. Like she made us write about like our earliest memories. Like how far back we remember. She made us write about like why we write. Like, and I think this one was really interesting because I've never done it before. She said to like find someone, right, a stranger, and write their traits out without like describing who they are. You know what I mean? Like, oh, she has a round face and small eyes. And I thought that was really cool because, creative writing and like writers were not so common these days. And it seems like nobody likes to write, from as far as I'm concerned, so a few bunch of us, like out of a million people. So I thought it was like really interesting to take this class. You know what I mean? But like as far as my fiction goes, I didn't tie it to me being a Black girl. I wanted to be completely fiction, just kind of let go of my reality and create my own. I wrote about, it was inspired by Law and Order SVU, one of the episodes I've seen. He was this guy basically he wanted to be a writer, right? And so he kept going to these publishing companies and, try to get his work, published or whatever. But like his works were all about like true crimes. But basically what he did was after he finished going to work, he went to the publishing company and like held all of them hostage and like, he had to torture them and make them feel how he felt and, kill them. And it was really like, well, really gruesome. I was like, how dare I write something so bad? I like happy ending stories. I don't like stories that end so gruesome and so ugh. But
I love horror, so
cool.
I'm down for it.
It's kind of cool that I was able to like click off my reality and make my own, based off of something I've watched, something I've read, or something I've seen. That was kind of dope. So hopefully, if I can like stay consistent with it, I will put it into a book. Fingers crossed.
Awesome. Quickly too, before I move on, going back to what you said about that writing exercise, about writing kind of character traits about people. There's this creative process book I really like by Twyla Tharp. She's a choreographer. And she wrote this book called The Creative Habit quite a while ago. But in it, she does mention this one writer who gives himself the task every day to come home with a new character in kind of the way that you were saying. So like every day when he goes out into the world, he's looking for these little character traits and he's pulling from multiple people to always have like a new character when he comes home. So I thought that was really cool. Okay, or do you have anything in the works to be published soon that we can look out for?
I'm always working, so I'm never not working. I like to keep writing, keep my brain fresh. Hopefully, like fingers crossed, in God's will, I'll have another book out. So my debut official book that I was supposed to put out this year, out by next year. But school is kind of like slowing me down. Now that it's a new way we're doing school, kind of being thrown off of my regularly scheduled program. So,
aren't we all?
If I stop procrastinating, I will gladly get it done because I'm a very big procrastinator. Like it's really, really bad.
Well, sometimes that's how you get the creative juices flowing. You have to like mull on a project for a while,
Yeah, I'm trying, but one thing I've noticed that I'm doing like unintentionally is losing interest in my stories. Like if I don't see myself like, because one thing I do when I write stories is I play the whole book out in my head. And if I'm still stuck in the middle, if I cannot get past the beginning, I'm just gonna throw it out. If I can't do this anymore, I'll try something else. I would say take your time. Being that we're a social media world now, you see all these people, living their dreams and getting these things accomplished, and like it may make you feel jealous of like how they are and what step they are in their life, but you don't understand. You'll never see what like they had to go through to get to where they are. Like people only show you what they want you to see. You know what I mean? So you never know how many times they had failed, how many times they almost gave up, sometimes they cried to get to where they want to go. So definitely take your time. You know, you cannot rush at the creative process, because if you rush, it's going to be something wrong. Maybe the way you wrote something, you wish you could have added this into it, or you wish you might have changed the title. It's anything. Like, do not rush, like, at all. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, so you know you shouldn't be like, I have to do it just because I see someone else doing it. It does not work.
I think it was Kendrick Lamar in an interview one time said basically that, where he was like, everyone started calling me an overnight success as if I haven't been working towards this for a decade.
Right. It takes time. It takes time. So
yeah, I love that sentiment of like, you know, we all of a sudden get to know people when they have a big hit or publish something that gets notoriety, but that doesn't mean that they haven't been
working for it for so many years and
submitting. And yeah, exactly. Any authors you recommend readers check out? Who are your favorite authors to read?
I started getting into James Baldwin. You know, I realized I haven't been reading his stuff and I feel so silly. But, you know, I would recommend any Black authors, any Black writers out there. You know, got to sit together, you know, support us. We're just as good as anyone else. You know, so off the top of my head, who I have to think of. Like, he's the one that I've been really like thinking about lately.
And where is the best place for viewers and readers to follow you and see your work and follow your journey and what you're up to?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. On Instagram, you can find me at Chyda Writer, CHYDA Writer. That's my writing page. That's where I do all of my writing things. On Facebook, you can find me at Cheyenne, CHYNNE, Writes. You'll see my book cover as my profile picture. On Twitter, I am Cheyenne, CHYNNE, A, and the number 2.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for spending the time telling us about your book and your journey to get there a little bit.
Had fun, you know. It's been a while since I've really spoken about it, you know, so it's really good. So.
Well, we will look forward to seeing what you have next.